Hello there. The UK is in a right old political mess. And unless we will it and work for it ourselves, no one is coming to save us. Left to our current politicians, bar a handful ensconced in Westminster, most are only concerned with their own skins. And right now, the establishment uniparty blob is banking on most of us being too wound up in our own affairs to notice how they are robbing us of our heritage, money, and our futures, and that of our children and grandchildren. The time to grasp the nettle and get involved in our own futures is right now. Who knows what Starmer and Macron are cooking up behind closed doors right now? But I can bet that over 90% of us would not be pleased with what they are discussing because they do not have our best interests at heart. Neither Labour nor the Tories are the answer. So what is the way ahead? We are stuck with our politicians. So what do we do? Richard?
I don't know, Jeff. No, actually, let's face it, as you rightly said, you can't vote Tory, you can't vote Labour, even though right now, I have to say, I prefer the rhetoric coming from the Tory party than I do Reform, which is quite strange. I mean, Robert Jenrick seems to be saying all the right things, and so do a few others. But, I mean, you cannot trust the actual infrastructure of the Conservative Party. We know what's going on behind the scenes there. Then again, can you trust Reform? That's the other question. How much do you trust Nigel Farage? Haven't they just lost another MP now? Yeah. So, okay, so we're running out of... before long, I think there's only going to be 3 people. I think there are 3 people left at the moment on the benches. So that will probably, I don't know, something will happen. There'll be some sort of... 3 or 4. There'll be some sort of mishap that will happen. Maybe Lee Anderson will sort of trip up one day and say the wrong thing and he'll be gone. So you can't really rely on Reform to be the answer. Although, if there's an election tomorrow, who are you going to vote for that's going to get Labour out? And this is a very serious matter that I say, and the reason I say this, Jeff, is because if we have any longer under Labour, freedom of speech will be gone. Parties like Reform will be outlawed. Parties like Ben Habib's party and UKIP will be outlawed. This is what we're fast approaching. So we have to ask ourselves who will get us out of this mess. Now, this is where I feel very uncomfortable by looking at Reform. And on a few occasions, I've said to people, let's vote Reform. At least it gets Labour out. And it does. And it might buy us some more time. But who do I want in power right now? If somebody said there's a party out there, which one do you choose? I'm going to be hard pushed to go between, whether it be UKIP or Ben Habib's party, to be honest with you. And I think in terms of a prime minister, in terms of prime ministerial material, it's got to be Ben Habib. It has to be. He hasn't actually started a political party as such yet. It is more of a movement, I believe, isn't it? It's not, I can't say it's not a political party. It's not a registered political party yet. I don't believe. Or is it? Jeff, do you know on that one?
No, the Ben Habib's party has just his movement has just started. Once he's got up to 30,000 members, and they're well over 10,000 now. Once you got over 30,000, then it will become a party, because Ben Habib will make it into a party, will apply to the Electoral Commission, put 100 grand of his own money into it. But he wants to get the ball rolling first and make sure there is a big head of steam up. And there already is a big head of steam up, and even the Express has run an article on his outfit, which actually is now lying in the top 10 of political parties of membership already. And it's only a week, or it is his not his party, his nascent party, his party to be, has already got as many members. It gets it into the top 10 if it was a party today. It outranks most of the others. So there is a head of steam behind it, and you can understand why Ben Habib is he's a seasoned guy, seasoned businessman, and seasoned politician, really.
He's a solid chap.
I've got to say that overall, I'm behind Ben, as I've sort of discussed with you before, because I think his offering is probably the best there is. And he's also got this thing called a college in between the membership and the top echelon, which is meant to be, or the sort of top echelon, the sort of the front members, and the politician types. It is meant to be there to set the scene, to set the policy, to actually have spokespeople in there who really know their stuff, and they have to, they don't just up and hand a load of dosh over and then, oh, thank you very much, and become, top tier in the party. You have to work at it. You have to pass a test. You have to actually go through this college before you can be part of that sort of system. So there's a lot there that is to like. But Rupert Lowe on the other side, he's got his own movement. And I still think somehow or other in the future they're going to have to come together. I can't see.
Yes.
Yes, Rupert Lowe wants to go and join the Tories. But I think that would be the end of him, to be honest, if he did that. I mean,
well, yeah.
Where would he go after that?
But I've got to say,
there's
some very valid comments coming straight in, where I can see one here. John Hind, UKIP, no chance. Ben Habib, no chance. We cannot afford to split the vote if we want to get rid of Labour. Now, this is a valid point. Whether I like it, whether you watching this like it, it is still a valid point. Another one here from James Jones. Reform are a centre party, so no vote splitting. And this seems to be a common thread. If you want Ben Habib's party, or Rupert Lowe, or UKIP, or anybody else other than Reform at the moment to move forward, it will split the vote, okay? But then you've got to ask yourself, well, so what? If Farage's party is just another uni party, why don't we just all stand up for what we believe in? Okay, but will you be able to have this conversation if Labour get back in, if the vote is split? I tell you now, Jeff, what there has to be for there to be any chance of politics working at all, there needs to be some huge coming together of the right. Something has to happen. I don't know what, and I really don't know what, but somebody might just incidentally be Ben Habib. It could be somebody who pulls somehow Reform together. If Farage, can sort of like let go of his ego a little bit and say, okay, well, we can bring these people back into the fold. We'll come together for the greater good of the country. So under those circumstances, yes, maybe someone like Ben Habib can do it. But there needs to be a coming together, because right now the right is so fractured. The left is about to do the same with Corbyn, except nobody's actually jumping ship to Corbyn, not even ex-Corbynistas, or former Corbynistas like Diana Abbott, I believe, and John McDonnell. I don't think they're actually going to be joining this new political party of Jeremy Corbyn. So even the left is splitting the vote. I mean, the thing is, there is time right now possibly to get something together. If Tommy came on board with Ben Habib as well, with Elon Musk's money behind it, then things could change. I don't know, Jeff. But then again, you've got to ask yourself, if Tommy came over, how many people who've gone over to the right on Reform, who've moved to the right from the left, traditionally from the left base, who are now voting Reform, would be put off by Tommy, even though I think that man should be crowned king. I personally, I can perceive and understand that there are people who would find the situation. Tommy himself is more than aware of this, I believe, which is why he in the past he has said, look, at the end of the day, I can sort of get why Nigel Farage wouldn't want me in Reform, but don't slag me off. That was his point. Just let me, get on with my own thing. Yeah. It's a very difficult one.
Yeah, the real big elephant in the room here, I'm afraid to say, is the civil serpentry. Yes. They are so woke now, so indoctrinated. They've gone through all the right courses, right to the top, and the people at the top make sure that the people who follow him in the top jobs have done all the right courses and said all the right things and done all the right things and done all the right jobs. So it's a continuation. It is they who are running the country right now. Ministers have very little say. They just do as they're told. It's that bad. You only have to listen to Dominic Cummings, to realise that, and he's seen it firsthand. And you only have to look back at the old Prime Minister, Prime Minister days. Even back then, there was a sort of a big joke, it was basically the civil service ran everything. The idea of a minister was to be the figurehead who argued amongst the other ministers for more money for his department. Then his department went and wasted it all. And that's how government works in the UK. In America, at least they get a chance by bringing in their own people. I mean, we went through this with SPADs, didn't we? The special advisors and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think they ever really had any power. The power is held by the Whitehall Mandarins, and they make sure that it all goes their way. They know all the ins and outs. They know all the parliamentary procedures. You'd have to change all of that before you stood a chance of ever changing anything. The civil service is there to make sure that that change is never too much. It's never too sharp. It's a gentle sort of movement through history as we go through, and they are the gatekeepers of this sort of way of, and they've managed to steer it far left basically, and it's going to take a big job to get it back. It's going to take a lot of people who understand how that machine works. And most of the people who understand how that machine works are the lefties. They're the ones who know how it works, and they utilize it to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
We are really stuffed at the moment unless we get the right people in there who can clear that lot out somehow.
Yeah, totally agree. And this is what we're circling around. We keep on coming back to this, Jeff. And that is, if democracy is going to work, it's going to require somebody to go into number 10 Downing Street, who, on the moment he enters Downing Street, that he or she enters Downing Street, that the civil service know that they have therefore been put on notice immediately, that their jobs are now on the line, that the entire system, that in fact, I would go as far as to say, whoever comes in would need to bring their own people in with them, bring their own civil service in with them, ready to go.
They can't. They can't.
Right. Why can't they? That's the question.
Because the civil service is there by law and it's sorted, and they run it, and it's all done by convention as well. So what you've got to do is you've got to change all that. And I don't know whether people realise the first weeks and months of a parliament is more about the King's speech, and then debating that, then sorting out all the committees. Who's going to be the head of this committee? Who's going to be the chair of that one? Who's going to do this? And then they've got to swear all the MPs in. This all soaks up time. When what we should be doing is hitting the ground running and getting change.
Yes,
but it's all designed to soak you up.
How then? How do you gain change? That's the question.
That is the big question. Someone's.
Dominic
Cummings. Dominic Cummings did come out with a plan. You've got to.
It keeps coming back to His Majesty. It keeps coming back to this specific royal family that sustains and legitimizes the entire system. That's all there is to it. Sorry, unless the monarchy is supplanted with another monarchy comes in, somebody else comes in, I'm afraid we're going to be stuck with the same problem. Sorry, His Majesty. I mean, I was watching Dan Wootton earlier, getting very angry, which I couldn't believe actually with the King. With what the King has said. He said I won't misquote Dan Wootton here, where he did say that he has nothing but the utmost respect for the King, but he feels very let down by what His Majesty had said regarding the 7/7 bombers and the bombing and the whole situation where we shouldn't. What did the King say? I'm going to paraphrase here. We shouldn't let those who cause division sort of divide us type thing. And it was basically a direct dig at people like Nigel Farage. All of you watching this, incidentally, probably Tommy Robinson, and Dan Wootton also took it as a dig at himself as well, and people like you and me, Jeff. And that's where we're at. That's it.
I can understand that, but I can understand ranting just at one person, yes, but there's a whole lot of them with vested interests underneath that will do everything they can. I mean, as Moxie's Gaming Mashup says, Jeff, you can change anything if you have the will. Yes, and the civil service cannot change everything if they have the will, and they have the will and the power. That's the problem. is going to take a massive, massive show of force, not of political force, to get it done. And that means a massive majority from the people to make those changes. So whoever comes forward and wants to change things has got to make it quite clear in their manifesto. They can't do what Reform is doing and try and do what Labour did, get in, and then find they've got no actual mandate because they didn't lay out clearly in their manifesto what they were going to do.
It doesn't matter.
That's the problem.
It doesn't matter. That's the point, though. It doesn't matter because it doesn't matter what any politician wants to do because the civil service exists. His Majesty's civil service, it's there. And that's why I keep circling back around this, not one man, one institution that needs to change. Change that, and we might have a chance. But aside from that, I mean...
Who signs...
Go on.
Richard, who signs the laws into effect?
No, exactly.
His Majesty.
Exactly.
Or one of his representatives.
Yes, exactly.
They sign the Acts of Parliament.
Yes. So if you don't like what's going on in this country, I mean, he technically has the ability to not sign acts into Parliament as well. You know, he can dissolve Parliament. He should be doing this. This is what we keep coming back around all the time. I mean, we're seeing it now with what's happening with this meeting with Macron. Why are we rolling out the red carpet for a man who absolutely hates this country? Absolutely hates it. Hates the thought that the nation state of the United Kingdom should exist. He probably even hates the thought that England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales should exist unless they exist within the framework of the EU. And this is where we're at. These people are controlling us. So how do we get out of this then, Jeff? Right, so politics is not looking too good at the moment, even though cards on the table. Do you know what I do recommend people do? I do recommend that if you're going to vote, and probably if there's an election tomorrow, yes, vote Reform. Don't split that vote. But sign up to other political parties. Sign up to Advance UK. I think it's a really good thing. I think it's a fantastic thing. Even if the function of Advance UK, if it doesn't gain enough momentum by the next election, if the function of Advance UK is to hold Farage's feet to the fire, to hold the feet to the fire of Reform, then it's so dysfunctional. And the same with UKIP and the Heritage Party, whatever. There are plenty of good parties out there that you can support, not necessarily voting for. That's the important thing if there's an election tomorrow. But if the momentum's building and those individual parties rise to the surface because they are basically going to be a lot better than Reform is morally at the moment, I would say, then go for it. But there's a lot to think on here. There's too much sort of, do this, do that, do this, do that. No. You can actually do more than one thing at the same time. It's not an either or choice at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Grandor, for your contribution. He says that remember civil servants out there will witness saying replacement, and war for profit is good. The woman who described a recent dinner party, I can't remember that particular one. I'll have to dig that one out. But civil servants have their own agendas, just like everyone else does. The days when the civil service were absolutely unbiased and level and all the rest of it, when they all believed in the UK and doing the best job they could for the government, who they knew was doing the best thing for the country, that's all gone. Politicians don't do the best thing for this country because a lot of them now believe that a Middle Eastern country or a Middle Eastern strip of land is more important than the UK where they live. They absolutely do. And they'll do anything that damages us to bring that particular agenda forward. And there's a lot of civil servants who'll do the same thing. And that's the problem we have. We no longer have a joined up agenda for the UK. The people of the UK are now so disparate, pulling in all different international directions.
Yes.
Pro-EU, pro-UN, pro-Gaza, pro-Iran, pro-Russia,
EU. That's
pro-America.
the main one. EU. For how long have we had politicians who've been pro-EU over the United Kingdom as well? Yep. That's the other side of it. This has been going on for a very, very long time. And it has to stop. Yeah. So in terms of what people can do, first of all, yes, I would say definitely give a bit of support for Ben Habib with his party make. I'm going to be signing up myself today, incidentally, I've decided. I'm going to sign
I will as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to put my name along to that one. But also, I think that men need to get together now. Gentlemen, it is time to meet in pubs again. I know it's expensive if you can afford it, but try and meet in a pub. Have a chat with other men. Get together and talk. And sorry, ladies. I obviously, we yes, you meet as well. Maybe at the same time. I don't know. But I think some of you will know what I'm trying to say here. But men should meet together and talk together, and you just form bonds again that have been lost, community bonds. So you can keep an eye on your community and make sure that communities are good places and that they remain so. So men should meet up together and speak, and also go to church and make sure you can find an Orthodox church near you. That's the important one. I'm going to go on about that. I don't care. I mentioned in the last live stream earlier, but get yourself to an Orthodox church, because that's the other side of it. Without that, none of it stands. The rest is just nonsense. But we need to get together. We need to remember what we were as a country.
Mark James says, you two are spinning on the pinhead. The only way to get change is civil unrest. I don't think we're quite there yet. I do think that a big show of political force from the general electorate, from the general British people, because at the end of the day, most British people still still love their country. It's just that they're being silenced and told that that's racist. To love your own country is now racist. So we must stand up and say, no, wave the flag and tell them to bog off, because we do love our country and it's not racist to love your country. How come it's not racist to love Gaza, but it is racist to love the UK? Here in the UK, what a lot of absolute crap, basically. I love my country and I'm here and I want to make it work. I do not want to spend my money around the world on people, I don't know, doing whatever they do to each other. And there's more, there is real genocides going on in this world right now against Christians. But these pro-Hamas lot don't mention that once. Not at all. They don't care about it. So, yeah.
An interesting fact as well, I mean, did you know that I'm not sure if there's a Muslim country that you can actually protest and support Hamas in. That was an interesting thing that was brought to my attention quite recently. Yeah, other than Iran, possibly, which is funding Hamas. But there we go. But yeah, as that gentleman said though earlier, civil war. Of course, that's not something that Jeff or myself could ever condone. It just seems like an inevitability, which is why I was saying it's time for the fight back. If there's any way we can, in any way we can get this country saved by the democratic route, then hopefully we have to push for it, and we have to support people who are pushing for it, for good people. We do have to support good people. Paul Thorpe made a video on this, and it had me thinking for a while, because it's very difficult for me, because I'm not too much of a believer myself personally in the democratic route out of it. I don't think there is an off-ramp, as Dr. David Betts said, towards the trajectory of civil war. But there is hope, then yes, please support people like Ben Habib. And if you're going to vote tomorrow...
So looking at this comment, Jamie DH303, I wonder how many civil servants are on the MI5 list. Now, I don't know whether you saw the story, but was it a couple of soldiers got thrown out for sharing pictures of what happened on October the 7th?
I don't know. I do know this. I think, Iran has just thrown out, was it 200,000 or 300,000 Afghans?
Afghans, yes.
Yeah, for spying.
They just got rid of them.
Yeah.
But the left don't care about that.
No.
Because they want to portray Iran as some sort of wonderful country. But they've just ejected hundreds of thousands of Afghans because they might be a security risk. If we were to do the same thing, if we were to espouse that same thing, the whole world would be set alight by the left, wouldn't it?
Yes, Pakistan also ejected. I think it was 700,000.
Yep, they did the same. Yep.
Nothing said there by the left. No.
Yeah.
But how do we get our country back then, Jeff? We've got to start the fight back. And the fight back, I believe, as I said, is supporting the right people. Okay? Support the right people. If there's an election tomorrow, sorry, Advance UK is not in a position to do anything at this moment. At all. It's not. Yeah. But still support it. Okay? We
Yeah.
know whoever gets Labour out, everyone make a decision in 4 years' time when the election comes. Then we can discuss this really properly. But whoever gets
Yeah.
Labour out, because otherwise you will be shut down. Jeff and I will be shut down for certain. We'll end up in clink. That's for sure. But so will a lot of you watching this.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
that point, vote splitting will be a very real thing, and we have to be very careful. So many dynamics. We need to keep these conversations going, Jeff. We really do, because
Yeah, I know.
otherwise people will not be making the right decisions, including us.
Yeah. Now, Max's Gaming Mashup says, but Jeff, these people are just employees. It may take time, but you can replace key civil servants and get the ball rolling. Then you will have the snowball effect. Yes, you would think that. However, the civil service is in a way that the people at the top pick who replaces them. It's a never-ending cycle of just woke, promoting woke, promoting woke, promoting woke. We've allowed that to develop. We really, our politicians and the civil service itself. The civil service has failed itself by not following its initial rules and making sure it was completely and utterly objective and unbiased. It is now totally biased. And I don't know whether you know this, but the lawyers are about to take over. There are moves afoot to shut down as many jury trials as they can. And especially where bigwigs are concerned, they want them just in front of a judge, not in front of a jury. And believe it or not, did you know that only 1% of court cases are actually decided by a jury? 1%.
Crazy.
And
I thought it was our right.
They're saying
that was our
and
right.
They're saying
common law.
Yeah, but that means that's the trouble. We've gone from the common law down to 1% of jury trials. 1%. And they're saying the argument right now is that if we cut that back to even less than 1%, we'll suddenly speed up the whole judicial process. So what they're saying is they want to put justice aside and replace it with speed to a decision. And that means their decision. No, because juries have the ability to make perverse decisions, i.e., the judge will say, the law says you must find these people guilty. But he can't direct a jury that way. The jury can say, no, I'm going to find Tommy Robinson innocent. And that would put the rocket up them. So what they're trying to do is shut all this down. They want the rule of the letter of the law, international law as well. So there's moves afoot going through to make sure that lawyers control everything. It's getting really scary.
I'd like to thank, is it James Biddles here, for your super chat. We, the British citizen, should stand up and fight just like the Irish are doing. They've had enough, but doing something about it. Now then, Jeff, what do you say to that?
Well, I say they do a lot of, they have done a lot of protesting. And when they have protested, if they've tried to make a stand, they have been dealt with by the police.
Yes.
Unlike what our police do to certain protesters in until very, very, very recently in places like London. But even then, I don't know how long that will last. But the Irish are in a different position. It's up to the Irish what they do. That's the truth.
Yes,
I don't live in Ireland.
Well,
I don't live in Ireland. I cannot tell them what to do.
I don't know if they are in a different position. I think we're all in the same position right across Europe. I can't
No,
say
they're in a different country. They're elsewhere. I'm not going to tell them what to do.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. But as for us here in the United Kingdom, should we stand up and fight? I couldn't.
We should make a stand. We should definitely make a stand.
Yes, we should make a stand. Basically, stand up and fight. Not physically, because if I was to say that or condone such actions, I would be arrested. So I'm not going to say that. But what we should do is, as I said, come together as a people. Men should come together, not necessarily to fight. No, I'm not talking about that. But just come together and meet up in pubs and start talking and get to know your community and have broader conversations across pubs. I know they're expensive. Have a glass of water in there, damn it. Whatever it is. But just go in there and talk to other men and find out who is who and who your friends are. And that's what we need to do as communities now. Because nobody's coming to save us. And we need to rebuild our communities. Because don't trust the the system, because it's not there to help us. And as we said, the civil servants won't allow. They just will not allow real change. I'm sorry, I'm a bit angry with this whole situation, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks, Grandor, for your extra contribution. Positive note: voting with cash is having little effect. I work in the AD industry where there is, or ad industry, where there is less demand, or mixed families, or gay couples. Silver lining, anything to suggest we can personally do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is it? What are you saying? There's sort of less of us in there in the ad industry.
Well, I think that's starting to change. I don't know. I might be wrong here, Grandor, but I had noticed that a slight change, a slight reduction in wokeness, we'll say, and box ticking within adverts of late. I think that it's because they've been having the old saying, go woke, go broke, has been kicking in.
Yes.
And so anything we can personally do, just get ourselves morally and community-wise cohesive. And morally, it means, yes, go to church, try an Orthodox one. And any church is better than nothing. Mind, I have to say that, hopefully.
Yeah.
Not always. But get to the pub. Jeff, you and I need to get to the pub soon, I think.
Yeah. I like this one from blank 9831. YouTubers talk a big game, but never actually do anything. YouTubers literally have the floor. The only reason I have the floor is because Richard and I invested a lot of time and money into creating a couple of studios so that we can do this sort of stuff. That's what we're doing it. We're actually doing something. And I go out and about in places like London. I do things, I really do. So
don't worry, Jeff.
YouTubers, we're not a special race of people, YouTubers, there's something over there. Anyone can do this. You just need your iPhone and talk and blurt it out on YouTube. And you're a YouTuber. That's it,
Yeah.
So,
well, the thing is, actually, I would go and say more than that. I mean, look, Jeff and myself, we've had death threats, etc. Whatever. So, talk a big game. All right, then. Yeah. Well, some of us are actually fighting for our country in this way. This is a form of fighting. People have been silenced, shut up for saying a lot less than we say sometimes.
Yeah, we have to be a bit careful because, I went on the last rally I went on in London. Which one was that? Oh, that was the Football Lads Alliance Anti-Groomers March.
Yeah,
I think that was the one. And
all the children, I think.
I went up and asked a couple of policemen a question, and they asked me. They sort of answered it. I mean, basically, I'd heard a rumor that Tommy would be arrested if he turned up at the march. If he just showed his face there, he'd be arrested. So I walked up and I said, "Is this true?" And they said, "No, he's got license to do what he likes. If he kicks off, we'll arrest him. Otherwise, he's free to do what he wants." And then one of them said, "Well, but I've seen you on YouTube," he said to me, and he named a couple of other YouTubers and said, "How are they?" So they do keep an eye on us.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we do have to be a bit careful about what we say and do. Anyway, I need to go now. Got things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.
Yeah. So it's really nice for everybody and nice to talk to you. And thanks for the contributions. I can't get through all the comments, obviously, and some of them you can't even read out. But and that's just
everyone. One thing, everyone, we're going to be starting to try to build towards our great, we're calling it our great big or great grand Sunday show. So that'll be starting at 6 o'clock usually now. We'll be doing a live stream from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock in the evening if we can get that far without, So, yes, we decided, we're sort of going to try and build something, a bit special for you all and it's a way of you sort of coming in and having a good chat.
All it is really is that Richard just can't shut up. You know what I mean? Can't shut him up.
I'm only doing it so you can shut up. I
Ooh,
can't laugh.
thank
I
you very
can't laugh.
much. Yeah.
But yes,
Anyway.
Sunday can be the big one. So yeah, there we go.
So on that note, I will say thanks very much for everybody for watching, and it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him. Goodbye.